For most of human history, knowledge lived in fragile places, in memory, in scrolls, in books stored on shelves inside great libraries. Civilizations built vast archives of human understanding, gathering the discoveries, ideas, and histories of entire cultures. But those archives were never permanent. Libraries burned, empires collapsed, wars erased centuries of knowledge overnight. The most famous example is the Library of Alexandria. Once the greatest center of learning in the ancient world, Alexandria held hundreds of thousands of scrolls records of philosophy, science, astronomy, mathematics, and history. When the library disappeared, so too did an unknown portion of human knowledge. Ideas vanished, discoveries were forgotten, and the world was forced to rediscover truths that may have once been known. History reminds us of something unsettling. Knowledge is powerful, but it is also fragile. Welcome to Mysterious Encounters. Tonight's case file explores the newest and largest archive humanity has ever created. An archive not made of stone walls or wooden shelves, but of servers, fiber optics, and invisible signals moving across the planet. The Internet, a global network that stores more information than any library in human history. An archive containing books, videos, scientific research, historical documents, and the collective thoughts of billions of people. For the first time in history, nearly all of humanity's knowledge exists in one interconnected system. But this raises an extraordinary question. Have we finally built the ultimate library? Or have we simply created a new archive that could vanish just as easily as the ones before it? To understand the modern library, we must first understand its scale. Every day, humanity produces an unimaginable amount of information. Articles are written, images are uploaded, videos are recorded, scientific discoveries are published, and nearly all of it becomes part of the vast digital landscape we call the Internet. Unlike ancient libraries, this archive is not located in a single building. It is distributed across thousands of data centers around the world. Massive server facilities quietly store the information of modern civilization. Inside these buildings, millions of computers operate continuously, preserving digital records of our time, photographs, messages, maps, scientific papers, historical documents, entire libraries of literature and knowledge. In theory, this digital archive is far more resilient than any ancient library. Copies of information can exist in multiple locations simultaneously. Files can be duplicated endlessly, and knowledge can travel instantly across the planet. But the modern library is not invincible, because unlike books carved into stone or ink written on parchment, digital knowledge depends on a fragile system, electricity, networks, and machines that must constantly function in order for the archive to survive. A single corrupted server can destroy files. A cyber attack can erase entire databases. A global catastrophe could shut down the infrastructure that keeps this digital world alive. And there is another question historians and philosophers are beginning to ask. Who controls this modern library? Ancient archives were controlled by kings, empires, or religious institutions. Today, much of humanity's digital knowledge exists on servers owned by private companies, corporations that manage platforms where information is stored, shared, and accessed. These companies maintain the infrastructure of the modern archive, but they also shape what information is visible and what disappears. Entire websites can vanish overnight, accounts can be deleted, platforms can shut down, and when they do, enormous amounts of information can vanish with them. In recent years, researchers have begun studying something called digital decay, a phenomenon where links stop working, files become corrupted, and websites slowly disappear. Even in the digital age, knowledge is not immune to loss. In fact, historians warn that future generations may face a strange problem. While our civilization produces more information than any before it, much of it may not survive long enough to become history. Hard drives fail, software becomes obsolete, formats become unreadable, and archives built on fragile systems may not last as long as we assume. The internet may be the largest library humanity has ever created, but its permanence is far from guaranteed. And yet, despite its fragility, the modern library represents something extraordinary. For the first time in history, knowledge is no longer limited to scholars, elites, or institutions. Anyone with access to the internet can explore vast collections of information once locked away inside universities and archives. A student can study ancient manuscripts from thousands of miles away. Researchers can collaborate across continents. Entire libraries of literature and science are now available to millions of people with a single search. Human knowledge, once scattered across fragile scrolls and hidden libraries, now exists in a shared digital landscape, accessible to nearly anyone. But the question remains, is this truly the ultimate archive of civilization? Or simply the latest chapter in humanity's long struggle to preserve knowledge against time? Because history teaches us that every great archive eventually faces a test, fire, war, collapse, or the slow erosion of time itself. The libraries of the past believed their knowledge would last forever, yet many of them disappeared, leaving only fragments behind. Perhaps centuries from now, future historians will examine the digital remnants of our civilization, fragments of websites, archived databases, pieces of information preserved in ways we cannot yet imagine, and they may wonder about us the same way we wonder about those ancient libraries. What did they know? What did they lose? And what knowledge vanished before anyone realized it was gone? Because every civilization builds libraries, but only time decides which knowledge survives. Thank you for watching Mysterious Encounters, because somewhere within humanity's greatest archive, the story of our civilization is still being written.